Well, the virus has now killed more than 100 people in China, and new cases have been confirmed around the world.
So you don't want to frighten the American public.
France and South Korea have also got evacuation plans.
But you need to prepare for and assume.
Strongly warning Americans to avoid all non-essential travel to China.
That this is going to be a real serious problem.
France, Australia, Canada, the US, Singapore, Cambodia, Vietnam, the list goes on.
Health officials are investigating more than 100 possible cases in the U.S.
Germany, a man has contracted the virus.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
Japan, where a bus driver contracted the virus.
Coronavirus has killed more than 100 people there and infected more than 4,500.
We have to prepare for the worst, always, because if you don't and the worst happens.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome to the War Room. It's Friday, July the 31st, the year of our Lord 2020. Episode 310 of War Room Pandemic starts here. Jack Maxey and Raheem Kassam here on Capitol Hill on America's Voice.News on the John Fredericks Radio Network. Later on Newsmax TV and blown through the CCP's firewall, subtitled in Mandarin on G News and GTV. We're going in this hour through the Vatican, to Israel, to China, to the border and El Paso. Lots to cover here this morning. Let's bring in Stephen K. Bannon. Steve.
Yeah, we've already talked about, we had one of the top brains in the country talking about hydroxy, a doctor from Yale Medical School. 1,500 people died yesterday. We had David Bonson on talking about the United States of the Federal Reserve, the Japanification of our country. 10-year bond is under, 50 basis points. The dollar is as weak as it's ever been. Nobody has any earthly idea how we work our way through this economic inferno. Every day we're trying to feel our way through it. Now's the time for you to start to think about precious metals, particularly gold in your portfolio. If you want to talk about gold, you got to talk to the guys at Birch Gold. Go to Bannon, text Bannon, B-A-N-N-O-N, 474747 today. They've got a 20-page report you've got to read. Now is the time. In a time of uncertainty and turbulence, in a fourth turning, you need to look at and consider putting precious metals in your investment portfolio, whether it's an IRA, 401k, or actually the direct ownership. The guys at Birch Gold are the team that you need to work with. Raheem, I got to tell you, this show, I'm so proud of it that every day we try to talk about tomorrow's news today and to look over the horizon of what's going on, because this is not just a war with the Chinese Communist Party. It's a war with this pandemic, and you see it's triggered tremendous social unrest by the cultural Marxists that work in conjunction with the people that want to bring disorder and chaos, not just to the United States, but to the world. I want to bring on now Liz Yore. She's very famous, not just a writer whose writings have been way ahead of the curve, but she's also a former prosecutor and someone that knows about human trafficking. She's made this her life's calling. She's done incredible work being so far ahead of where the news is on this issue of the Chinese Communist Party, and particularly the Vatican. There was a story the other day, Liz, I want to get your thoughts on it, that now proves that everything you've been saying and Miles Grove's been saying about the Vatican, the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, has been caught hacking into the Vatican to find out, I guess it's financial records, maybe issues with these priests and pedophilia, all the records in the Vatican. Tell us about what the New York Times and world media has been reporting about what the Chinese Communist Party, about what the state security, PLA, and its intelligence apparatus have been targeting the Vatican.
Sure, Steve. What the New York Times reported was that a U.S. cybersecurity firm uncovered that a big hacker group called the Red Delta, which is linked to the CCP, was hacking into the Vatican system as well as into Hong Kong, the Catholic mission in Hong Kong. Yesterday, they released the underlying report of the behind the cybersecurity breach. And interestingly, and this is my theory, I think the CCP has the Vatican locked down. In my opinion, China has no better ally than the Francis Vatican. What they may have been doing is trying to buy some insurance policy with the Vatican to ensure that the upcoming agreement, which is supposedly going to be renewed in September of 2020, will be favorable to the Chinese. But Steve, what I uncovered in this report is just, in my mind, groundbreaking. Number one, the real threat to the CCP and to these hackers is what's going on in Hong Kong. Now, keep in mind, this was done in May, the cyber intrusion. This is when everything was breaking in Hong Kong with the new security law. We know that the Hong Kong Catholic Mission is not on the same page under Cardinal Zen as the Vatican is. So I think that the CCP were clearly trying to read the tea leaves of what position they were going to take in Hong Kong. Additionally, what was also hacked, and your international viewers will understand this because they've heard from this show, is the India airport as well as India law enforcement. I think these hackers were trying to find out, gather information about this incipient battle that is going on the India-China border. And as a result, I think that's the story that isn't being told from the New York Times headlines. So this really begs the question. All right, the Vatican has been hacked by the CCP. There is a huge increase in abuse, persecutions. They're destroying all Catholic churches. They're using COVID as an excuse to bash indoors of private citizens who are holding prayer groups and destroy all religious icons. Why, in God's name, would the Vatican renew a secret agreement in September with a bad actor like the CCP? So I think we've got to continue to watch this report. I don't know who paid this American cybersecurity firm to give this report, but to me, it's a warning to all of America and to the world that the CCP is actively intruding in all of our lives, gathering important intelligence, whether it's for diplomatic reasons, whether it's for health reasons, political or military reasons. So it's a wake-up call yet again. The show has brought time and time again the information that the CCP is a dangerous hacking operation. And this just proves it. And the Vatican is not off the charts. They're going to hack into religious organizations as well.
We know that the Chinese Communist Party, they understand to take down not just the Judeo-Christian West, but also India, our other allies in Japan. They have to go against the spiritual beliefs of these people. They have to break your will by destroying your spiritual yearnings, whether you're a Tibetan Buddhist, whether you're a Muslim in Western China, whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Catholic, all of it. So they've targeted, obviously, the Vatican. But the Vatican seems to me what's so stunning, given all the evidence, Liz, is that, ever since they signed this secret treaty a couple of years ago, that through your help, we were able to talk about from the Vatican. I gave that broadcast during the sexual harassment in the pedophilia conference they had. This to me was as big a news as that they would actually allow the Chinese Communist Party to be in the business of selecting bishops, but they wouldn't let local parishioners have any say-so at all about how the church was going to be governed, given the fact that administratively, at least, it was out of control. Given that the Chinese Communist Party has cracked down on all religions even harder in Hong Kong and in mainland China, on Falun Gong, on the underground house Christians, but particularly the Catholic Church. How can it possibly be, now that we know that the CCP hacked them to get all the inside information, how can it possibly be that the Vatican's still considering extending the deal in September, but as importantly, to keep it secret? I mean, how can this possibly be? I think this is what you got to help explain, or at least contextualize for our viewers.
Well, I think the CCP understands that the Catholic Church is the great obstacle to communism. And all religious freedom organizations have said, Steve, and I've studied the Mao Cultural Revolution, this persecution going on now under President Xi is worse than the Mao Cultural Revolution and the persecution and destruction of religion. And so the world has to speak in one voice against renewing this deal. My fear and my prediction is that this fall, we're going to see the Vatican not only renew this agreement, but also to provide political, moral, and scientific cover for what the CCP did in the China virus. And unless the rest of the world rises up, all religions together, and says this must stop, this has got to stop. I mean, because what they're doing is they're replacing pictures of all religious leaders in China with a picture of Mao on the altar and pulpit and a picture of Xi Jinping. That's what we're dealing with. They are wiping out religion. And unless the world steps up and really puts pressure, all Catholics have to put pressure on the Vatican to stop this unholy alliance with the CCP, whether it's driven by a Marxist ideology, whether it's driven by financial benefit, or all of the above. This has got to stop, because for the CCP to have the moral voice of the Vatican is a danger to the entire world.
Liz, you've done an incredible job on this. Really want to thank you. We look forward to putting up more of your stories as we go forward. But this is, to me, one of the most important stories about this war against the Chinese Communist Party, the cultural part of it. I want to thank you. How do people get more access? What's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is Elizabeth Yore. It's also at Parler, and my website is yourechildren.com.
Thanks, Liz. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Raheem, want to go back to you and Jack in the studio. I want to talk about this. We had a great article in American Thinker that referred to our show as Radio Free China, and this is one of the reasons we try to focus on these issues. What we mentioned about this deal with the Vatican and the CCP. Part of it, and the reason it's secret, there's no doubt that there's a path to diplomatic recognition of the Vatican, of the CCP, and to really throw under the bus the people of Taiwan. And I want to very specifically address the folks in Taiwan right now. You know, when people say, oh, the Chinese are not ready to have democracy, they're not ready to have rule of law, they're not really ready to stand on their own. If the CCP goes away, this is what the world elites say, China will just evolve into chaos and anarchy and warlordism, and they won't be able to govern themselves. If you look at not just Hong Kong, the old Hong Kong, but particularly today's Taiwan, what you see in Taiwan is one of the most vibrant, robust nations in the world. And how do I point to the facts? The facts are about how they've dealt with this CCP virus. They have been more than ever. They're the first ones to identify and go to the World Health Organization on the 31st of December of 2019 and say that there was a SARS-like outbreak in central China that had human-to-human transmission and community spread. If people had listened, if the Taiwan, the Republic of China in Taiwan, the Free Chinese had standing at the WHO, all of this could have been avoided. Okay, this is because of the really the greatness of the people of Taiwan, the Free Chinese that have sat there and shown how they've handled this virus, how they've handled what they've done with stopping community spread and human-to-human transmission in Taiwan, the limited number of deaths they've had. They are a beacon to the world of what the Chinese people can do when they have democracy and they have rule of law. They have freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and most importantly, freedom of religion. And I got to tell you, the guys in the Vatican, the people in the Vatican that think they're going to cut this deal and recognize an atheistic, materialistic group of devils, which the CCP is, and throw under the bus the people in Hong Kong, the people in Taiwan, but particularly condemn to all-time darkness the people of mainland China. They got another thing coming. We're going to fight this one tooth and nail. These guys in the Vatican, okay, who are taking money from the Chinese Communist Party, and they've never come out and refuted that. The reason they're not going to refute it, it's true. They're taking cash money from a totalitarian dictatorship that is oppressing every religion and slave labor camps. It's absolutely obscene.
Absolutely. Steve, we've got a break here. When we come back, we have another guest for you guys. Kay Rubacek, director and co-producer of Finding Courage. And then we'll be joined by Mort Klein, the Zionist Organization of America, Chris Kobach, U.S. Senate candidate for Kansas. Packed out hour here. War and Pandemic returns in just a moment.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Just like you, I had problems sleeping. I tried every pillow out there and nothing worked. 15 years ago, I invented MyPillow. It took me 2 years to develop because I wanted to have everything you would ever want in a pillow. I made sure that you could adjust my patented fill so you could have the exact support you need as an individual, regardless of your sleep position. I also wanted a pillow that would last, so I made MyPillow machine washable and dryable. I back MyPillow with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. Not only that, I do all my own manufacturing in my home state of Minnesota.
I really like the fact that it was made in the USA. I think that USA products are a better quality product. I've tried a lot of other pillows, and nothing's worked like MyPillow.
I'm interrupting this commercial right now to give you deep discounts, not just on my pillows, but also my mattress toppers, sheets, and so much more. For example, you can get body pillows regularly $89.99, now only $29.99, or MyPillow dog beds for as low as $19.99 with your promo code.
I used to think that sheets were just sheets. I got the Giza Dream sheets. They are the most comfortable sheets I've ever had.
The Go Anywhere pillow is so easy to just roll up and take anywhere I want to go.
Go Anywhere pillow is really comfortable, so that's what I really like. It's nice and supportive, and it's nice and small.
The MyPillow topper, for the first time, has enabled me to have a cool night's sleep. I'm able to go to bed and just get rest.
That's 3 inches of wonderful that's in the MyPillow mattress topper. It's just like a firm cloud.
MyPillow helps me get a good night's sleep so I can do my job in the morning.
Go to MyPillow.com to get deep discounts, not just on my pillows, but so much more. For example, you get body pillows regularly $89.99, now only $29.99, or MyPillow dog beds for as low as $19.99 with your promo code.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Frustrated with heavy rubber hoses that always get tangled and easily kink? Introducing the Bionic Flex Pro hose, the super strong, super tough hose that's ultra light as well. Run over an ordinary hose and it'll easily burst, but the Bionic Flex Pro hose stays intact no matter what runs over it, because its reinforced drag-resistant commercial-grade outer polyester weave makes it tougher and stronger than ever. And its solid brass fittings are crush-proof too. Ordinary hoses kink easily and stop working, but the Bionic Flex Pro hose never kinks. It just keeps flowing strong. And while regular hoses easily get tangled, the Bionic Flex Pro hose is tangle-proof. You can get the 25-foot Bionic Flex Pro hose for just $19.95 with free shipping. But wait, order today and we'll upgrade your order to a 50-foot Bionic Flex Pro hose. Just pay a separate fee, and shipping is still free. Go now.
Call 1-800-313-8062.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Well, 2020 has been a gut punch to American businesses, and if you're going to succeed, you need every possible advantage. That's why smart companies run on NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system, and a sponsor of this show. Get your free guide right now at netsuite.com/Bannon. You're back in the war room, or should I say Radio Free China. Jack Maxey, Raheem Kassam, and Stephen K. Bannon. Let's roll this clip for the audience, however, of Dianne Feinstein, and then we'll talk about Radio Free China versus the Democratic Party of America. Let's roll it.
Well, there clearly is a difference between the East Coast and the West Coast. Where I live, we don't hold China, in the words of my predecessor speaking. We hold China as a potential trading partner, as a country that has pulled tens of millions of people out of poverty in a short period of time, and as a country growing into a respectable nation among other nations. And I deeply believe that. I've been to China a number of times.
Steve?
That's the voice of a useful idiot. Dianne Feinstein's got to know, and I guess her husband's business relationships with the Chinese is so deep that she looks the other way in the Chinese Communist Party. This is not about China. It's not about the Chinese people. That's a misdirection play. Here, you're hearing the voice of the useful idiots and running dogs of the Chinese Communist Party. Okay, this is not about China being a trading partner. She should read the speech of Attorney General Barr. He said they're not here to trade, they're here to raid. And she should know that, being from California, what they've done in Silicon Valley. What she said is a disgrace. But Raheem, you said it's Democrats. That's not true. Dan Coates, the hapless director of national intelligence, a former Republican senator from Indiana, and a very nice gentleman. But let's be real. A half-wit, okay? A disaster at DNI in the Trump administration. One of the worst picks that President Trump made. He wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post that completely takes the side of the CCP in Beijing, right? He talks about, we can't get into a Cold War. Number one, we don't want it. Number two, we'd lose. He's absolutely incorrect. He has a complete misunderstanding of the Cold War. He says, we won against Russia militarily and diplomatically and culturally. No, it was economic and information warfare, brother Coach. You got to go back and learn something, okay? We won there because of Reagan's defense budget. We did the analysis so their economy was only half the size, that they were spending 50 cents on every dollar on defense. We broke them on the big defense buildup because of cash money, and then Star Wars. We broke the back of the economy of the Russians, and that's why the Soviet Union went away. So don't sit there and lecture us about a Cold War. This is not a Cold War. It's a hot war. It's a hot war on information and cyber. It's a hot war on economics. And hopefully, if we do our job and take down the CCP, which is all within our possibility to do in a relatively short time, we will avoid a kinetic war that will spread from the South China Sea to the borders of Chinese-occupied Tibet, up there with the brave troops under Prime Minister Modi of India. And so you're starting to see this thing the other day. You're starting to see a concerted effort of the useful idiots, whether Dianne Feinstein, Senator Coates, you had the ambassador to the United States from China came up with an op-ed at the exact same time. They're all saying, can't we just all get along? No, we cannot get along. There's no getting along. The Chinese Communist Party has got to go, okay? It's got to be brought down. It is a totalitarian dictatorship. It is oppressing the people of China. And now, because of the CCP virus, it's got 150,000 plus combat casualties in the United States of America. Guys, I'd like to have your comments about the American Thinkers piece on ourselves as Radio Free China.
Well, yeah, I mean, Steve, very, very flattering from the American Thinker. It was one of those sites that's been around for a while now that often comes up and reads between the lines and figures out what's going on here, and it's particularly astute in terms of the observation of what you just said. You're right. It's not just the Democrats. It's the useful idiots across the spectrum versus the people who recognize that we can't all get along. But Steve, I want to ask you the question. All right, it's the Feinstein clip there. It's the Dan Coates op-ed. It's the other one that went hand in hand with it that you mentioned as well. It came out at the same time, talking about why can't we all just get along? We should just be able to do this, etc., etc. What does that say about the CCP's position right now? Because it wasn't so long ago that they were rattling the cage over here saying, you're going to lose, we're going to win, and now it's like, hey, maybe we just want a little handshake and go back to the way things were. Steve, are they on the back foot now, or are they anticipating being on the back foot?
They're nervous. They see across the board, whether it's Senator Lindsey Graham putting in to strip their sovereign immunity, all the legislation we've got. They understand everybody is coming together. There's a unity. The reason the show is so powerful is we unite the deplorables of Lao Beijing, old 100 names. The CCP is nervous. That's where they've got all their useful idiots now in full bloom coming forward to kind of make their case and say, hey, we can just get along. We got to work together, all that. No, we're not going to work together. We're not going to work together. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to work to take down the CCP and to expose all the, as Attorney General Barr said, collaborators and appeasers that have worked with them and dined off them for decades and decades and decades. They're a threat to their own people. They're a threat to free people throughout the world. And if they don't think you're a threat to you, look at what they've done to the United States. Over 150,000 combat casualties because of this CCP virus. You heard it from Dr. Yan over the last couple of days. Remember, the CCP lied. Americans died. The CCP lied. Frenchmen died. CCP lied. Canadians died. CCP lied. And folks in China died. Tomorrow on our special, we're going to talk about the new federal state confronting the Chinese Communist Party on a global basis. We didn't get enough time to spend with them when they were doing the protest this week when we opened up the conference, but we're going to get to some of the participants, show some of the footage you didn't see, and on the Saturday show, we're really going to discuss how people that are expatriates, people that are defected out of China are now standing up, uniting around the world to combat the Chinese Communist Party. Somebody's combating them, and another hero of this movement is Kay Rubachek. She's a director, writer, and director. She's got a new film out, Finding Courage. Kay, talk to us about the film and how can people get access to it and what drove you to make it?
What drove me to make it is that you see what's going on in China. You see that's been going on for a long time. And we actually found a family who live in San Francisco, and their story is just astounding. But it represents so many stories in China of people who have not been as fortunate as this family who are able to escape and actually speak out and tell their story. So the film's going to be released. Well, with the film industry, it's just gone crazy this year because of the pandemic, but it's going to be released soon. We're just working on the exact date for a national broadcast. So fingers crossed, we'll have a date very soon. But it'll be soon.
We're going to put the trailer up. It's an incredibly well-made film. I see you've been to all these film festivals. Here's what I don't get. The reason we wanted to start your segment with Senator Dianne Feinstein, isn't she a San Francisco resident?
Oh boy.
She says, well, my point is how can she sit there and say all this, and your film takes residents of San Francisco that tell their story about this horrific oppression in China. How do people like Feinstein not see the reality of what your film shows and what the noble and brave Chinese people go through every day?
I think how you said the useful idiots, that's just the ploy that the communists and Marxists have just used for so long. But it's coming to the forefront now. People are actually starting to recognize it. And this is our family in this movie. They live in San Francisco. So much of this movie takes place there, and half of it's still taking place in China right now. And they have been up against these people for so long to try and rescue their family, to try and just seek some freedom. And that's something that we really take for granted is the freedom we have here. But when people coming here from China, it takes them a long time just to adjust to what's going on. And then they see these people, these Americans who are criticizing the freedom, and it's hard for them to understand. And so it can be really confusing for people when they come out of China and they hear those types of comments like you just played, and they're thinking, what's going on? Because they've lived in China. They really know what's going on. They haven't just, it's not just about the money for them. It's life and death.
What do you help to achieve with this film? It's very moving. We're going to get real pushing back of you when you release. But what are you trying to achieve in this film? What message are you trying to get out there to people throughout the world?
I think essentially is people need to recognize the people of China as people and not the CCP. So inside China and outside China, we've been fooled to believe that China is the CCP. China cannot exist without the Chinese Communist Party. So many Chinese people have been brainwashed to believe that. And so many of us have been brainwashed to believe that. So that would be really one message that I would love to come through the movie, is that people can actually see from a personal perspective, through the eyes of this family, what is going on in China and what
guys,
is the regime really like.
Steve, we got 30
Kay, thank you very
much.
much. Yeah, Kay, how do the people get access to your website? How do they get access to your Twitter feed? Give it to us. We've got 30 seconds.
findingcouragemovie.com, swoopfilms.com, SWOOP films.com. Thank you.
You're a real hero.
So
We're going to push this film on. Everybody's got to see it. Kate Rubacek.
Steve.
Not a useful
We'll be
idiot.
right back. We'll be right back with Mort Klein, Stephen K. Bannon, Jack Maxey, Raheem Kassam. War Room Pandemic returns in just a moment.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell. You know me as the My Pillow guy, but what you might not know is my story. I've spent years writing my memoir, and it's finally done. Before this terrible pandemic came upon us, I had already wrote, I dedicate this book to anyone looking for hope. Well, right now, we're all looking for hope. And I've always used mathematics to prove that God exists. In our lives, we've had things happen that are 1 in a million or 1 in a billion, or we might say that's impossible. Well, when do we say it all has to be a miracle? My life has been like living inside of a movie, and in my book, I have pictures that are going to validate everything that you're going to read. I believe that my story is going to bring inspiration and hope to everyone. By the time you're done reading my book, you will believe that with God, all things are possible.
Mike spent the last 7 years writing his book to share his life story. In this difficult time we are in, Mike's book will bring much needed inspiration and hope to everyone who reads it.
But now the game was over. The house had won. I was going to die right here on this deserted street. A small item in the news. American tourist goes missing in Mexico.
Call now or visit MyPillow.com to purchase What Are the Odds from Crack Addict to CEO. Enter the promo code and you'll receive free shipping. Mike will also include a free $25 MyPillow gift card. Mike shares his incredible story of addiction, divine intervention, and hope. In his new memoir, What Are the Odds? From Crack Addict to CEO, learn how Mike's 14 near-death experiences and heavy crack addiction led him from a place of total darkness into the light. Mike's personal stories of transformation remind us that with faith, all things are possible. Call now or visit MyPillow.com to purchase What Are the Odds? From Crack Addict to CEO. Enter the promo code and you'll receive free shipping. Mike will also include a free $25 MyPillow gift card.
My son needs this drug. I hope it doesn't cost too much. I hope my insurance pays for it. Can you tell me how much this will be?
$67.
Sorry.
Wait, have you heard about GoodRx? GoodRx finds free coupons to help you save up to 80% on your prescriptions.
Wow. I had no idea.
GoodRx. Stop paying too much for your prescriptions.
This is Kate.
Hey.
She takes 2 prescriptions. Kate's son Jack takes 1 too. Kate works hard and thought she had good insurance. But she still pays too much. That's no good. So Kate downloaded the GoodRx app. Now she can compare prescription prices to find the best discounts. She even beats her insurance price. Good for you, Kate. Good for you. GoodRx. Stop paying too much for your prescriptions. Download the free app today.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Well, in turbulent times, you're going to need every possible advantage, and one of those is NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system and sponsor of this show, War Room Pandemic, otherwise known as Radio Free China. Smart companies run on NetSuite by Oracle. It gives you the visibility and control over your financials, your HR, your inventory, e-commerce, and more. So whether you're doing $1 million or hundreds of millions in sales, NetSuite lets you manage every penny with precision. So you can join over 20,000 companies who trust NetSuite to make it happen for them. They've surveyed hundreds of business leaders and assembled a playbook of the top strategies they're using as America reopens for business. So get your free guide, 7 actions businesses need to take now, and get your free product tour at netsuite.com/Bannon. That's netsuite.com/Bannon. Welcome back, Jack Maxey, Raheem Kassam. Over to Steve Bannon.
Yeah, look, we're very proud of our coverage here of the pandemic since mid-January, but really talking about this global conflict between Marxism and cultural Marxism and the Judeo-Christian West and our allies, this Alliance of Liberty, whether that's our allies in India, Japan, the nations, the littoral nations around the South China Sea. You're starting to see it come together, Latin America, Africa. And it's, to me, it's inspiring. And this is the great conflict. You see, yesterday, we talked about it for a long time. People said, oh, you know, Bannon doesn't know what he's talking about. Now you see where the Chinese Communist Party is signing a bioweapons deal with Pakistan. Now, they're sitting there now, oh, no, we didn't mean it. That's all false. But it's been reported pretty deeply. You see what's happening in the Eurasian landmass. The Chinese Communist Party with Pakistan, Iran, Turkey, Russia, and North Korea are trying to consolidate power on the Eurasian landmass. This is the great event of the first half of the 21st century. The key that picks the lock is the freedom of the Chinese people. And you see the useful idiots in the establishment. Remember, Donald Trump's president because he was he had a counter narrative to the managed decline by our elites, the party of Davos. And you see these clowns, the useful idiots and running dogs of the Chinese Communist Party, Senator Feinstein, Dan Coates, agreeing with the ambassador to China, his happy talk in the Washington Post. Okay, they're going to now put up a screen. Oh, we can all just get along. No, the answer is that cannot happen, and it will not happen. There are too many people who are really woke to what the issue is, and the issue is the Chinese Communist Party and the unfinished work of the 20th century, and that is destroying root and branch communism, whether it's the cultural Marxism that's infecting this Antifa and BLM movement, or the hardcore version of it that's in China by General Secretary Xi and his henchmen. I want to turn now to, by the way, I think it's very symbolic, and I really appreciate Kay Rubachek being on here. That's one of those young voices, a scrappy independent filmmaker that's standing up to the apparatus and telling the story to a family in San Francisco at the same time that Dianne Feinstein is out there, being a running dog for the Chinese Communist Party. She knows exactly what's going on, and she's trying to confuse them. Remember, it's about the precise language, just like in hydroxychloroquine. We started with the Yale professor, Rich. It's about precision. It's about data. It's about evidence, just like in the Chinese Communist Party. Now I want to bring on someone who's been a true hero and a guy I've worked with for a long time, Mort Klein, the Zionist Organization of America, one of the great heroes, pro-Israel. And I got to tell you, a guy that takes heat and incoming all the time. But what was most surprising, what's happened over the last couple of weeks, Mort, I want to get to both sides of this story. Number one, you took tremendous heat from other Jewish leaders of some of these Jewish organizations and some of these organizations about Israel, about what you talked about, the cultural Marxism part of the BLM movement, not talking about racism, but the cultural Marxism part and the anti-Semitism that's incumbent in that, inherent in that, and then your outreach to Ice Cube and to really start a dialogue that people can kind of come together and to work these issues out. So let's go to the first part. What did you actually say about BLM that had so many of these Jewish leaders, I think it's called the Club of Presidents, people really turned on you, and they turned on you more pretty viciously?
Well, really remarkable. I simply looked at the platform of Black Lives Matter, not about their push for equal rights. We all support that, of course, but their platform is viciously anti-American and anti-Semitic. They want America to not only end all the police forces, they want America to destroy their military, to end capitalism. They want reparations to Libya and Iraq. Can you believe it? They want to end the global war on terrorism. They want to kids to choose their own gender and end the nuclear family. And when it comes to respect to Israel, I wrote that they support not only cutting all aid to Israel, but they call Israel a state that's committing genocide against the Arabs, which is ridiculous. There were 200,000 Arabs in Israel in 1948. Today, there are 2 million Arabs in Israel. It's reverse genocide. Whoever's in charge of the genocide program should be fired. They call Israel an apartheid state, even though 15% of the parliament in Israel are Arabs, and they support boycotting Israel. So when I wrote all this out, 16 members of the Conference of Presidents of major American Jewish organizations and leading members, the major reform movement leaders, Rabbi Jacobs, the major conservative Jewish movement, Rabbi Blumenthal, Ken Bob, all the Jewish women's groups, condemned me as a racist and many of them demanded I be thrown out of the Conference of Presidents, the umbrella group of all the Jewish groups. Can you imagine my simply calling out the horrific anti-Semitic, anti-American platform of Black Lives Matter, How does that make me a racist? I'm just the reporter. I'm only reporting how awful they are. And now we see more and more how true all that is. And that's why Alan Dershowitz himself came on television and said, this is a disgrace what these Jewish groups have said about ZOA and Mort Klein. I will defend Mort Klein politically, and I will defend Mort Klein legally because he's right. Black Lives Matter is an anti-Semitic group. And by the way, this was echoed by Melanie Phillips, Caroline Glick, and many, many other prominent thinkers and writers.
Okay, Mort, hang on for 1 second. Did any of the Council of Presidents that condemned you, did any of them go and actually say that you got something wrong? Was there any debate about what you had put forward as being factually incorrect?
No, it was all name calling. They never responded to my essays were simply factual about what the platform says, detailing it specifically. All they did is call me a promoter of hate, a racist, and they said I am tainting all of the Jewish leaders by my being in the umbrella group because of what I've written. They've never addressed a single factual issue because, of course, they never could. By the way, Black Lives Matter also endorses Louis Farrakhan. And when it comes to violence, they say violence and nonviolence are both the same. They're both resistance. So they really promote violence. So no, the Jewish group simply called me names. And it's interesting, I've written a bunch of additional articles since then, and these Jewish leaders have not said one word. And I filed a formal complaint within the umbrella group, the Conference of Presidents, demanding an apology and sanctions against all 16 of these Jewish leaders for their outrageous lies against me and the Zionist Organization of America.
Okay, I just want to make sure you're still in the umbrella group. You have not been bounced off the Council of Presidents.
Oh no, ZOA is a charter member. We helped found it in 1956. I'm still a full-fledged dues-paying member of the Conference of Presidents. It would take 80% of the members to vote to throw ZOA or any organization out, and they haven't even moved in that direction. They realize it's ridiculous. They've embarrassed themselves. These Jewish leaders are simply they're so afraid of the violence of some of these Black Lives Matter people. They feel secure if they attack someone who attacks Black Lives Matter. It makes them feel that they're protecting their institutions and themselves. If Black Lives Matter sees that they are condemning somebody who criticizes Black Lives Matter. This is all out of fear and also an attempt to diminish me, and because of my political views are different from theirs. They're very left-wing politically. I am right of center, and they would like my voice to not be listened to, so they thought by doing this that they will marginalize me, but in fact it hasn't happened. The opposite has happened. We've had tremendous support erupting from this.
I love you, Mort, but I think people describe you as a little farther than right of center, but that's okay. you were the kindred spirit. Listen, I want to talk about your outreach to one of the smartest guys around, Ice Cube. Talk to us about that and how you tried to bridge this issue of the anti-Semitism and how you guys are working together on this.
First of all, he told me to call him Cube. I said, should I call you Mr. Cube? He said, no, man, just Cube. So I met his manager, who's a friend of yours, and who's an ardent Zionist. By the way, he's a white Jew. So here people are calling Ice Cube an anti-Semite. His partner and top manager is a white Zionist Jew. He had Ice Cube call me. Cube called me. We spoke for 2 hours. 2 hours. In that conversation, he told me, and he wrote it out later publicly, he applauds Jabbar for calling out black anti-Semites. He says, I hate anti-Semites. I'm not an anti-Semite. He said, I'm allowed to tell you, Steve, that Cube supports Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state. Anti-Semites don't say that, and he said that. He also expressed concern to me of the anti-Semitism of Farrakhan, even though he likes the empowerment message of Farrakhan. So there's no way at all in way that this man is an anti-Semite. He feels he's comfortable with Jews. He likes Jews. He loves Israel. In fact, we're thinking of getting together and doing a lot more together on these issues. He also said he's going to.
Yeah, Jeff Quatness, his partner and his manager, is one of the smartest guys around. Harvard Law School guy. I've been a partner of Jeff's for many, many decades. Just a brilliant, brilliant guy. How are you and Cube going to take this forward? What can people anticipate of how you guys are going to try to drive this?
I don't want to say things that are private conversations, but I will say he wants to more publicly make it clear that anti-Semitism is as horrible as anti-black racism. He wants to make it clear, I think, that the Farrakhan message of anti-Semitism, hatred of Israel and Jews is wrong, even though another part of Farrakhan's message is a positive one. And he says in interviews, he wants to make that clear in the future. He even wants to participate in ZOA events together. We've discussed that possibility. We'll see if that happens. But I found to be as genuine as anyone could be with me. And we really bonded because both of us, I said to him at the opening of our conversation, both of us have a similar background. We both grew up in poor black neighborhoods. I lived in black neighborhoods till I was 16, and so did he, so we bonded. And when I went down to Mississippi and was registering black voters, I was put in prison for 2 hours. So we discussed our experiences in prison, how awful it was. So we really bonded on many levels. We've already said we want to meet each other's families, we want to come to each other's homes. It was the warmest 2 hours of a new friend that I've ever had in my life. He's a special guy.
No, he's a very special guy, and so is Jeff Quatnitz as part of. They're very special people. Mort, how do people get more access and find out more about ZOA? It's an organization I think everybody ought to, particularly people on the right, conservatives, ought to get to know better. How do they get to you? How do they get to your Twitter feed? How do they get access to you?
Telling the truth is not a political position, so I consider myself a rational centrist. Telling the truth about the Arafat-Abbas war against Israel in the West is truth. It's not a right-wing position. People should go on our website, ZOA.org, ZOA.org. Help us financially. Read what we put out. You'll learn more about the issues you and I are discussing. And I urge everyone to join ZOA. Make us stronger. We are promoting the truth of the Arab-Islamic war against Israel and the West. Virtually no other Jewish group is doing that. They're afraid. We are not afraid. And we also expose Islamic anti-Semitism, which unfortunately is a serious issue.
Mort, thanks.
Steve.
Thank you so much.
Klein, thank you so much for joining us here this morning on War Room Pandemic on a dark Capitol Hill. Stormy weekend ahead. Producer Vish, Jack, Raheem Kassam, and Stephen K. Banner return in just a moment.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell. You know me as the My Pillow guy, but what you might not know is my story. I've spent years writing my memoir, and it's finally done. Before this terrible pandemic came upon us, I had already wrote, I dedicate this book to anyone looking for hope. Well, right now, we're all looking for hope. And I've always used mathematics to prove that God exists. In our lives, we've had things happen that are 1 in a million or a 1 in a billion, or we might say that's impossible. Well, when do we say it all has to be a miracle? My life has been like living inside of a movie, and in my book, I have pictures that are going to validate everything that you're going to read. I believe that my story is going to bring inspiration and hope to everyone. By the time you're done reading my book, you will believe that with God, all things are possible.
Mike spent the last 7 years writing his book to share his life story. In this difficult time we are in, Mike's book will bring much needed inspiration and hope to everyone who reads it.
But now the game was over. The house had won. I was going to die right here on this deserted street. A small item in the news. American tourist goes missing in Mexico.
Call now or visit MyPillow.com to purchase What Are the Odds from Crack Addict to CEO. Enter the promo code and you'll receive free shipping. Mike will also include a free $25 MyPillow gift card. Mike shares his incredible story of addiction, divine intervention, and hope. In his new memoir, What Are the Odds? From Crack Addict to CEO, learn how Mike's 14 near-death experiences and heavy crack addiction led him from a place of total darkness into the light. Mike's personal stories of transformation remind us that with faith, all things are possible. Call now or visit MyPillow.com to purchase What Are the Odds? From Crack Addict to CEO. Enter the promo code and you'll receive free shipping. Mike will also include a free $25 MyPillow gift card.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now to give you deep discounts, not just on my pillows, but also my mattress toppers, sheets, and so much more. For example, you can get body pillows regularly $89.99, only $29.99 with your promo code. With our 60-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to lose.
Sleep well, America! For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Well, welcome back to the War Room. Here it's Friday, July the 31st, the year of our Lord 2020. We've got a great special for you guys tomorrow as well, so make sure you're tuned in on Saturday morning for War Room Pandemic. I also want to say thank you to one of our regular listeners, Vinny, who got me this excellent mug for my birthday. Best editor ever, it says. Jack, where are you taking us right now?
I just wanted to go back to Dianne Feinstein briefly, this whole idea of useful idiots or naivete or Quisling, however you want to call them. We have to remember that a few years ago, it was revealed that Dianne Feinstein's personal driver was an operative for the CCP, a spy for the PLA, and she played it off as if it was no big deal. Now, Mark Thyssen wrote about this 2 years ago, and what's very interesting, I'm going to pull a quote. He asked a CIA clandestine officer what he thought of it. And he said, if we had had this driver, we would have had the driver record on his phone all conversations that Feinstein would have had with passengers and phone calls in her car. If she left her phone, iPad, or laptop in the car while she went to meetings, social events, etc., we would have had the driver download every device. If the driver drove for her for 20 years, he would have had access to her office and her homes. He said that, in short, we would have had an absolute field day. This would be one of the best assets an intelligence community could ever had. And during that entire period of time, or much of it, she was the senior legislator on the Senate Intelligence Committee.
Wow.
No big deal, Dianne. Just a country we want to get along with, right?
She's a complete useful idiot. It's a complete useful idiot and a total disgrace. Okay, I want to turn now to somebody that's not. That is really a bulwark for the conservative movement and been at the cutting edge of getting our arms around this immigration issue in the United States. Chris Kobach running for Kansas. Chris, your name's coming up every day. You're taking incoming from establishment Republicans. Walk us through that. I guess Election Day is on Tuesday. How do you think you stand out there, and what's the current situation?
Yeah, Steve, thanks. Election Day is in 4 days, and we are taking incoming. Mitch McConnell and his allies established a dark money pack about 3 weeks ago, or they started sending the incoming about 3 weeks ago. They established it on July 1st, and it has been relentless. About $4 to $5 million worth of really sleazy, negative, false attack ads against me. And then last week, McConnell's team went ahead and came in with their open pack, which is the Senate Leadership Fund. Again, trying to build up my rhino opponent. I've been through a lot of campaigns. I've never seen this much thrown in a 3-week period in Kansas. That's basically as much as you can possibly spend. There's not much else you can buy. But the amazing thing, Steve, the miraculous thing is we're still holding on to a narrow lead, a single-digit lead, albeit, but still. The polls have us slightly ahead. So if we can hold on to the lead, we can survive this withering attack.
What is their major bone they have to pick with you? What is the establishment Republicans? Why, when you mention Chris Kobach's name, they get lathered up? Is it the policy positions you have, or the argument they're making that you're just unelectable in modern Kansas?
Yeah, the unelectable argument is a complete sham. They have seen their own polling. We have multiple polls. Rasmussen, a neutral polling organization, says I can win the general and am likely to win the general. McLaughlin and Associates, the president's pollster, has me winning the general by about 10%, has the rhino winning about the same amount. So that's just a fig leaf. That's their excuse for what they're doing. The real reason is They've got a conservative who's leading in the polls. They don't like my staunch position against illegal immigration. And of course, I also came out very publicly in favor of the president's moratorium before he made the moratorium on legal guest workers. This is the last time in the world we should be bringing in hundreds of thousands of people to come and compete with American workers when we've got so many millions still unemployed. So they don't like my position on immigration. And they also know my record as, being a very vocal and unmovable conservative. They're not going to be able to make me compromise or make me do what Mitch McConnell. He wants a yes man, and we all know that. And Steve, let's put this in historical context. This isn't the first time they've tried to take out a conservative. Remember back in 2014, Chris McDaniel was going up against Thad Cochran in Mississippi. They came in, they dumped a ton of bricks on McDaniel, took him out. 2016, Kelly Ward was about to beat John McCain. Same thing. Mitch McConnell comes in, they bring in the bombers, and they drop a ton of bombs on top of Kelly Ward, take her out. But in this case, in 2020, they're trying to do the same thing. It's a little bit different because it's an open seat. And so far, they haven't taken me out. So we may be making history here. We may be able to hand Mitch McConnell his first loss when he tries to meddle in primaries, in Republican Senate primaries.
How do people get access? You got 4 days to go. How do they get access to what you're doing over the weekend? How can they follow you? What's the social media connection? And what are you doing between now and Election Day?
Yeah, they can get access on chriskobach.com. That's KRISKOBACH.com. And I encourage people to go there. If they want to chip in, please do so today, because we will be placing our final media buys later early this evening. And so it would be very helpful. That's one of the things that's been really reassuring and gratifying, Steve, is that ever since Mitch McConnell came in, conservatives from all over the country have been chipping in whatever they can, whether it's $20 or $200 to help the campaign. So we are able to return the fire. We don't have as much ammo as McConnell has, but we still are. We have enough to maintain our lead. And if people want to give us reinforcements, it would be most welcome. We've been crisscrossing the state. To your other question, in the last week, I think we've gone about 1,500 miles, just hitting every hamlet, every little town, every place we can go. So we'll continue that through the end of the campaign. But there's only 4 days to go. And one thing we're seeing, though, is the grassroots is not buying it. The grassroots just doesn't buy it. The ads are just so fantastic. They're just so implausible, the things that Mitch McConnell's saying.
Chris, thank you. Good luck. See you over the weekend. By the way, one thing I want to mention from about the Moore Klein thing, Israel is being surrounded by Iran, Pakistan, others, and trust me, they're taking a lesson from their partner in the Chinese Communist Party. They understand the power of having a P3 or P4 lab. We're going to talk about it more on Monday. Tomorrow's special, the new federal state of China takes on the CCP on a global basis. We're going to have protesters, we're going to have demonstrators that took on the CCP, plus Miles Guo. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Raheem, Jack.
Thank you to Stephen K. Bannon, all of our guests, our production team here in the studio over in Denver and further afield. We're very grateful for everybody who takes part in this show, including you, the audience. Pandemic.warroom.org. Jack Maxey, Raheem Kassam signing out. Until tomorrow. See you then.
Brett Favre, legendary quarterback. Jerry Rice, legendary wide receiver.
You ready for your weekly meeting?
Yeah, we're ready.
Let's do this. Let's stack the deck.
When legends play, they wear Copperfit Advanced Back Pro. Copperfit's best-selling compression back support just got better with new double-band adjustable supports for customizable compression when you need it most.
Since I put this on, I feel so much better. The core is the most important thing. To know that I'm stabilized here. Whatever I'm doing, I can give it 100%.
4 built-in stabilizing supports designed to improve posture and help reduce lower back stress and strain.
You have back pain, and it's affecting your everyday life. Do something.
If you can find something to help you get back out and be active, like Copperfit, go for it.
Absolutely.
Do not give up.
A high-performance compression fabric infused with the powerful properties of copper, 360-degree flexible mobility, and lightweight, durable construction.
Nothing more painful than having back pains. If you're aching, if you feel like you can't work out anymore, you can. And that's with CopperFit.
It's for all of us who still want to be active, still want to compete.
Way to go. That's what I'm talking about. Man, this really does feel good. It feels to me like the fountain of youth.
CopperFit's best-selling back support just got bigger, badder, and better. Or call 1-800-944-5851. Or on the web at advancedbackpro.com. Get yours now for only $19.99.
This does feel good.
That's what I've been saying.
You think it was fair?
It was fun.
Play for the love of the game.
CopperFit. Live limitless.
You are seeing the President of the United States. Look at the lines. You join our movement. A lot of President Trump supporters here. Greatest movement in the history of our country.
Joe Biden refuses, as the leader of the Democrat Party, to speak out and put an end to the lawlessness.
He's ashamed of our country. The VA, as I said earlier, was just a mess under the Obama-Biden administration.
How many police officers need to be assaulted in the streets of Portland by radical left mobs in order for Joe Biden to condemn this?
I don't understand how we have leaders who think that it's okay to tell us as parents that our kids can go and get an abortion without our consent, yet we have no right to keep them home from school. It's just, it's completely hypocritical.
Can't believe that he's calling these folks peaceful protesters.
Well, I think Joe Biden is totally on the wrong page on this, and he's completely out of step with where American women are when they talk about how to protect their families.
We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. We will make America great again.
Welcome to Team Trump Online.
Wednesday just got better because the ladies are live, discussing the hottest topics of the week with you tonight.
And we will make America great again.